Hey, good afternoon. Well, for us that is. Well, I just had another inquiry yet again about which was the best visa to have when you come to stay in the Philippines. I assume this was for one of our subscribers, Billy. Hello, Billy. Happy to make this video for you and for others because it's a question that keeps coming up, and even though we have done probably 2 or 3 different videos going over what it takes and how we manage to do it, those videos are probably difficult to find, evidently difficult to find. So when you come over here first, if I can just tell you what happened to us, and then you can allow for the fact that it was 11 years ago, so things have changed. I avoid the temptation to quote prices, but I will tell you what it cost us. So it's a long time now, I think 3 or 4 years, that I've actually been a legal permanent resident in the Philippines. So what does it take? Well, when you first arrive, unless you've organized something that I really don't know about, and I'm not professing to be a visa expert. So when I arrived, I was given 1 month visa free. Then after 1 month visa, assuming that I hadn't been put in prison, I was given, when I went to buy again, I thought that I could only renew 1 month, but it turned out that it was 2 months. Now, other people have told me that they have been able to buy a 6-month visa. There's another kind of visa that you can have, which is called the Balikbayan visa. Now, the Balikbayan visa applies and is given free when you enter the Philippines in the company of your wife with the document that says that you are married. Okay, so you need to have that. So let's assume that you're on a tourist visa, which is what I was on when I came. So now I'm going down, living in Bohol, and I'm required to drive 2 hours or get one of those terrifying van drivers to take me to the edge of death on a 2-hour drive to Tagbilaran, or Panglao as it is now. So you get on the van and assume that you survive the ride, which can be quite a big if. You go to immigration in Panglao. They're very nice to you. They're not friendly Filipinos, okay, but they've got a job to do, and they're under a great deal of pressure to get it done. So they're extremely helpful and civil, and they get you through the job. Now, I'd been there in the morning thinking that going a little bit later might be a good idea, and it turns out that there's a ton of people waiting. So it's one day, you wait. So if you go there in the morning, you pay a certain amount of money. If I remember rightly, it was like the whole thing, the ride, back then it was a bus ride. So a bus ride or a van ride, taking that into account, taking the fact that you're going to need a meal when you are there, you're going to go with your wife because it's so much easier, and they are quite accustomed to dealing with a foreigner who actually stands there as if he's got a ring through his nose, and his wife is holding the chain, and he goes, they deal with the wife, and that all gets done. It all gets handled. Even if you're not married, your girlfriend will take you there, hold your hand, and she will handle everything for you. It's the way that it works, and it does work. So I think I paid probably between 2,000 and 3,000 for the 2 month visa. Right. So I take a drive there. I have to have a meal, I have expenses. It cost me 3,000 or 4,000 pesos for 2 months. And then after 2 months, you do it all over again. Now, as I said, I'm not a visa expert, so I'm simply giving you what my experiences told me. So those were the costings back then, 11 years ago, or well, 11 years ago when I first came, and that applies for what I just said. Just to recap and clarify, you get the 1 month tourist visa free. Then when you go back again, you can have, I think, 2 months. And then after that, it's every 2 months. Or if you've got some information that I don't have, and you can get 6 months. I have heard that. But of course, if you get 6 months, it's that much more, and you need to that. Billy in particular said he's not a rich man, so the other alternatives of visa, except the 13A, which is what I have, which is a permanent residence, okay? The other is that you can put a bond of, once again, these are not the prices that are here now in this moment. These are what I heard and couldn't afford when I first came here, all right? But back then, I think it was something like $10,000 or $15,000, a lot of money here, but not a huge amount of money for the fact that you then have a visa that you can use and you can come in and out of the country on, okay? Permanent residence, you can also come in and out of the country on it. So it's the same thing. Now, so for those of you who can afford to save $10,000 or $15,000 put into a bank in a way that I have no idea how they do that, but you can do that, and you will get a permanent visa, permanent residence, as long as you do not try to use that bond. It's a bond. Okay, so back to what I do know something about, and that is what it cost me. So when we finally got to a position where we could afford to pay for the resident visa, this is what we did. The paperwork is actually quite easy to do. Now, I'm saying it's quite easy to do because even if it wasn't easy to do, it wouldn't have been me that would have done it, because Beth would handle that. She is used to taking an administrative role in our relationship, because that's what she did for a living before I met her and married her. She was in the accounting department, billing and so on, of a big hospital on Cebu. So she does that, and I'm very happy that she is able to do that, as paperwork is not something that I gravitate towards for pleasure. So we filled in the paperwork and we applied it, and we paid up front. We paid 13,000. Now, you always learn these things too late, but at the same time, we had been advised that because of the difficulties that we were going through, trying to survive all the haters who just hated the idea that we were helping the less fortunate in the Philippines. You can go back, and don't have to take my word on any of this. You can go back, we were investigated and probed and poked and nudged and accused and all of that by everybody and his brother, and without any of the accusations ever being fulfilled, because they couldn't. But haters do what they do, and we do what we do. Isn't that life? So we filled in the paperwork and we applied it, and we paid the 13,000 for the 13A residency. At the same time, as I was about to say before I wandered off again, we were advised maybe it might be a good idea in view of what you are going through with people attacking you for the mission work that you do. It might be a good idea if Terence was to apply for a missionary visa. So I think at that time it was 11,000 pesos for a missionary visa. So at that point we were so harassed that I said, what the hell, why don't we just apply for that as well? And we didn't know different, so we did. We paid the 11,000 or so. The next thing that comes in is you are invited for an interview, and you both attend the interview. Now, if you have been unfortunate enough to have attended interviews in America or other countries, you might be forgiven for going weak in the face at the idea of going for an immigration interview. There is no reason to be that way. We met a charming lady who interviewed us and talked about what we do, and she had some knowledge of what we did for our mission work. But everything was going fine until she said, "Oh, I noticed that you have applied also in tandem for a missionary visa." I said, "Yes, we were advised that that would be a good idea, just in case it might help," and so on. She said, "It's against the rules for you to apply for 2 visas at the same time. Which one do you want to go for?" It seemed the best to go for the residency, which is what we did. So she informed us very kindly that the 11,000 would be regarded as a donation to the Philippine government. Well, of course, I'm all for fighting it, but I didn't. You can't fight somebody whose job it is to say yes to your application. I remember someone that I know who informed me once that when he went to Cebu on a particular application for visa quite a few years before we did, and he got in there in Cebu, and he started to disagree with the man who was handling his inquiry. And after a while, the man says, "No, we can't do this." By the way, this man had a habit of being as obnoxious as he possibly can, just because he likes doing it. That is strange. So the man said, "No, you'll have to go to Manila." And this our obnoxious friend said, "Why?" And the man said, "Because I don't like you." So that man gave me some good advice. He said, never argue with a government employee because you can't win. And that's good advice that I'm giving to you. You go in and you be as polite as you possibly can and throw yourself on their mercy. It worked and always has worked for me. I don't crawl and cringe, but I'm as nice to them as I want them to be for me. I think that's called the golden rule. So, what happens next? We received a good response for the lady. She said, "There's no problem here, and all you have to do now is go online and watch the list that is put out by the government of the Philippines, which contains the names of people who have made the application like you have and are now approved." She said it will take about 3 months, which is what it did. Once you see your name on there, it means you must travel to Cebu and you must pick up the card, which tells you that you are now a permanent resident. At first, 1 year is on probation. So if you're planning on killing people or robbing banks or some other strange things. People do these things, you know. If you're not planning on doing that and getting caught, then you go after 1 year and you will be put on permanent. So after that, it's 1 year. You show up every, I don't know, the 1st of February every year. And you show up there, whatever the date is you have, and they don't change the card. They just give you a new piece of paper. So you keep the card for, I don't know, maybe a 5 or 10 year period, and then they give you a new card. They renew the card. But meantime, you have the card, which is good for everything, and you get another piece of paper, which you show them the next time you go next year. To pick up the card cost me just over, I think, 9,000 pesos. So 13,000 pesos at the interview and 9,000 to get the card. After that, all that you pay once a year is 300 and I think 10 pesos. We just went a little while ago, a matter of weeks ago, we went there and I paid 310 pesos, right? 310, not 3,010, just 310, just to appear and have them give you a new piece of paper. And that's how it will be, right? Now, as long as I don't go around behaving like an immigrant or an illegal immigrant in America, burning the flag and doing other such things and trying to get involved in politics of the Philippines, then there is nothing that I have to fear. Nobody ever asks me, can I see your permanent residence? Nor did they ever ask me, can I see your tourist visa? Because here on Bohol, it is so laid back that we seldom see police. I'm so used to going out with great trepidation in America with one back light out, knowing that I'm never going to get far down the road before a cop on a bike is going to stop me and be very nasty to me. In my experience, it's different here. I find that the provincial police are great. We have checkpoints on the roads pretty well every week, but they are benign to a fault. They are there mostly to check on people who are riding a bike and don't have a number plate or a license or registration, and they fine them a few hundred pesos. If you don't have a few hundred pesos, you just stop on the road within sight of the road, the checkpoint, and you wait until the checkpoint packs up their stuff and drives away. The police see the great multitude of bikes that have stopped just down the road and nothing is done. During our building of houses, we used to call the PNP, the police, and ask if they would like to partner with us on finishing the house. And the police would send, without taking a breath, they would send us as many as 10 police officers who would come ready to work and would work willingly and with a smile on their face. And in return, if the police found a particularly hard-hit family who were in need of help, on several occasions, on a lot of occasions, they got in touch with Beth and I and said, can you go and see this family and do something for them? And we would go. We also worked with the local DSWD, who asked us to do the same thing. And the police would often help us to finish that house too. And when we did programs for feeding after a storm, we would go to the islands, the smaller islands, which are out maybe 40 minutes in a pump boat, and they would send 3 or 4 police with us so we wouldn't have a problem. We never had a problem. People welcomed us and were incredibly pleasant, welcoming, kind, and grateful for the help that we would give. And we would take a lechon, that's a roast pig, and we would load that on the pump boat, and we'd all go out there with our students helping, and we'd take rice and noodles and some canned food and the lechon, the pig, and we would see a lot of happy faces. It was very rewarding. But I think I already told enough. But as this is particularly an information video, please do like, comment, and subscribe. If you're having any problems and you think I can help, I don't promise I can, but I will do my very best to help. Plus, if you share this video, it will help us to keep doing what we do, and it makes the channel that much more visible to more people, and perhaps YouTube might even stop ghost censoring us and let our videos be seen by many. So take care.